Folks, is your realtor acting in their own best interest? I'll talk about that and then get into the latest home prices and insights for the City of Toronto, the freehold market for week ending February 7th, 2024. Thank you to the many of you that have subscribed to this channel. There's still lots of you that come back every single week. You enjoy the content, but you've not yet subscribed. Consider subscribing. So, your realtor, you sign a listing agreement. Part of those fiduciary responsibilities means that the realtor needs to act in your best interest. And you think that's what they're doing. But let me tell it to you from another perspective, from another realtor's perspective. A few days ago, a property came up that was really, on the MLS anyways, it looked like it would be really suitable for one of my buyer clients. Sent it to them right away. We look at it together online. We decide, let's book a showing. So when a property comes onto the MLS, that is day 0. Days on market says 0. The next day is day 1 and day 2 and so forth, right? So on day 0, the day it got listed, we book a showing for the next 2 days. So it'll be day 1 and day 2. We're going to the showing. We see the property. My buyer clients really like this property. The whole plan is, after the showing, is I do a bunch of research for them. We figure out, what makes sense price-wise. There was no offer date on this property, so we didn't have to wait for a certain date. And that same day that we did the showing, on day 2 of the listing, I sent them all the information, and I talk about the square footage, we talk about what's recently sold, we talk about activity in the area, we talk about market trends, what would be a reasonable offer. Even before though I sent that information to my clients, part of the research is I'm trying to figure out what kind of closing date the sellers might want. I'm trying to get other information about the property. So I reach out to the listing agent. Phone call, nothing. I text message, I get no response. I leave a message at their office for the agent to get paged, no reply back. I did this a few times, no response, but I'm speaking to my clients about the property now, and we decide we're going to put in an offer. I am really trying to get a hold of the agent because there's some information that we needed to know. That evening, late that evening, I get a message back saying, property sold firm. What? Sold firm. It just got listed. And it's not the first time that properties get sold right away. But the next morning, I see that it was that agent that also represented the buyer. So that agent double-ended that sale. And it happens. It is well within our rules. I personally think it's a conflict of interest, and I've done shows on that before where the agent represents the seller and the buyer, but it is legal. It is totally okay within our MLS or our real estate rules to do that. Here's the problem, though, I see when that situations happen like that. When I looked at the price, I'm thinking, did they really get what they're supposed to get for that home? And how do you know? How does the seller know that, first of all, selling it right away on day 0 and day 1, that they exposed it to the most amount of people? You figured that's the whole plan, to expose it. That's why they're going on the MLS, for exposure. So 70,000 other realtors can show their buyer clients, and the hundreds of thousands of potential buyers out there that are all on all these property search sites can see the listing. And if it's something they like, it's volume. The more eyeballs and the more people go, the more prices go up. As a seller, that's your goal, right? That's the whole point. That's why you dress your house up. That's why you want it promoted and marketed for more people to go. So the fact that you sell it on day 0 or day 1, how do you know you're maximizing the price that you get for your home when so many people have yet to see your home? It's fast. It's too quick. And I know, as for the example that I'm talking about, I know because when I go into book showings, I could see how many other showings are booked in advance. I knew that there was at least 10 to 15 other showings over the next 1 and 2 days booked for this home. That was part of the conversations with my buyer clients. It's, look, we could wait. It's a good home. And, let's not be naive, all the buyers that are watching this. If it's a good home for you, it's probably a good home for other people too. And so I said, look, we could wait. We're just allowing more people to see the property. But the home got sold immediately. And there's tons of other people that wanted to see this home and didn't. So how do I know that? How does the seller really, are they maximizing their sale by selling it that quick? So the other question that comes to mind is, does the seller know that there's so many showings in advance booked? Do they know? Is the seller being updated? Because I'm thinking, if I was in the seller's shoes and I get an offer, and I got so many other people that have booked, not yet ready to see the house, not yet have seen the home, isn't the inclination to kind of, well, yeah, I kind of want to accept this, but what if I just wait another day or two? Yeah, you're taking a risk and that offer could be off the table, but how do you know you're maximizing? And as a seller, how do you know what you don't know? Because you don't know that maybe there's all these other showings. And this realtor who's not returning my calls, as a realtor watching this and being part of this experience, I know that that agent who double-ended it, I just can't help but feel they were ignoring everybody's calls because they wanted to put the deal together. I don't know what they told their seller, but I don't think it was, maybe we should wait, there's a few more. Maybe we could do a counter offer with a longer irrevocable, allowing other people to see it. No, I'm sure that's not what happened. What happened was, hey, this is the best offer and you should take it. And, I'm so lucky I get to double end this. That's what happens out there. And the seller doesn't always see that, but other realtors, we see that. We see the way that realtor has behaved, and it's not in the seller's best interest. We see it too often, and that's, one of the problems with our industry. If you think this video can help somebody, pass it along. Understand who you hire really matters. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. And if you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, it's really simple. Up here, there's a link to my calendar. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. Folks, have a look at the property we're promoting at the end of this video. Often people talk about multifamily homes, or buyers will ask us that they're looking for a property where they could maybe rent out the basement or another part of the house for a family member or extra income. Well, this property we're promoting, it's really designed from the very beginning for two families to live separate and independent of each other, above grade, in luxury. Check out the property at the end of this video. Now we're going to get started with Toronto numbers. Right now I have average sold prices for a bunch of different areas around the city of Toronto and around the city of Toronto for detached properties only. So we got the Durham region, Brampton, Mississauga here. Toronto is in the middle, but really close to Toronto you've got Vaughan, Markham, and Richmond Hill. Toronto normally is middle of the road when it comes to average prices for detached properties. Now, when I say middle of the road, I don't mean average expense. It's still very expensive to buy. But when we talk about average prices, the York region, the main cities there, Vaughan, Markham, and Richmond Hill, usually have a higher average sold price for detached properties than the city of Toronto. And on the other side, Mississauga, Brampton, and Durham usually have a lesser average sold price than the city of Toronto. But this shows about city of Toronto, so let's look at that closer. I've got detached properties, semis, towns, all for city of Toronto. I put condos here. We do a whole separate show just for condos. but I have it on this chart to show the difference between condos and detached properties. There's a $977,000 difference in average sold price. Never do I meet somebody that says, I'm thinking of buying a condo or I can buy a detached instead. Usually that doesn't happen because they're two completely different price points, almost $1 million difference in average sold price. Here we go. We're going to start off with the City of Toronto detached properties. 129 detached properties were sold for week ending February the 7th. Sales is increasing. So far, every week since we started the new year, sales is increasing. From this week to the previous week, took a big jump. 129 were sold. 24 properties sold at $2 million or more, which is also trending upwards. Average sold price overall trending up aggressively, but it is down from the previous week to $1,684,000. 1,684 is 3% lower than where we were this time a year ago. The blue, those are last year's average sold price. The orange, that's this year, except for this 1 week, they've both been following the same trajectory. So median price is 3% higher than where we were this time a year ago. And you could see if we just kind of look at the new year here, average sold price and median price are trending upwards. 129 were sold. The percentage selling at list price or more has jumped way up, and it's been increasing since the new year. It's now sitting at half. 50% of all detached properties sold at list price or more. Listings also jumped way up. 271 listings. The previous few weeks, we were 170 something. Now 271, almost 100 more detached properties were listed. Active listings did jump up a bit from 809 to 872. So there's more properties available for sale. Months of inventory coming down. So even though there's more detached available for sale, the jump in sales more than offsets that. And so the market, it's a little bit tighter. We're gonna, if we keep buying at the same rate and no more get listed, the amount for sale in 1.5 months or 1.6 months will sell out of everything. That kind of gives you the ratio or relationship between supply and demand. So 1.6 is the months of inventory. Months of inventory is dropping. Prices usually tend to go up as months of inventory comes down. Here's Toronto broken down into 9 sections. So we said all Toronto average months of inventory is 1.6 months of inventory. Well, let's look at some of these other areas here. Etobicoke, it's 1.2, very competitive. Weston Yorkdale, 1.6. Rexdale, 0.9 months of inventory. Scarborough, 0.9 months of inventory. Folks, that's a seller's market. 59% sold at list price or more. I know there's a lot of people watching this that still think we're depressed, the real estate market is depressed, prices are coming down. Yes and no, it depends on when you're looking at the market. So the last 6 to 8 months, yes, more depressed, trending down. But since we've started this new year, it's not the case. Now, I'm not predicting the future. I'm not saying it's going to be like this for the rest of the year. I can't say that with certainty. Nobody can. But I can tell you right now, it's somewhat competitive out there and getting more competitive. We are seeing in some neighborhoods, it's maybe calming down a bit. But overall, I mean, Scarborough, 0.9 months of inventory. You got, 59%, more than half selling at list price or more. There's competition out there, especially depending on your price point. So when you look at, say, York Mills, Rosedale, where the average price is more than $3 million, well, months of inventory is a bit higher, sitting at 3 months of inventory, and not as many, 38% selling at list price or more. So yes, price point does make a difference as to how competitive the market is. Semis. 39 semi-detached properties were sold. Those sales really, I mean, we went from 37, 38, 39. I'm reluctant to say we're trending up. Technically we are. It's one each week. Doesn't really make a big difference. Sales are kind of flat. 9 of those were at $1.5 million or more. But average sold price has been shooting up there a bit. It's now sitting at $1,286,000. 1,286 is 4% higher than where we were this time a year ago. The median price is virtually no change this week versus a year ago. The median price is $1,170,000, and months of inventory flat, sitting at 1 month of inventory. Semi-detached properties, extremely competitive. This is a seller's market for the semi-detached properties. 49% of those sales are at list price or more. Now, townhouses, these are freehold townhouses. It's nice to see sales come up a bit. We're sitting at 15 townhouses were sold. Still not a lot. It kind of skews the numbers quite a bit when the sampling is pretty low. But I'm reporting to you what we're seeing out there, what's actually happening. For week ending February the 7th, 15 townhouses were sold. 2 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price down from the previous week. Although it's been trending up, it is down from the previous week to $1,086,000. $1,086,000 is 9% higher year over year. The median price is 4% lower. Median price is $930,000. And months of inventory down a little bit, now sitting at 1.5 months of inventory. Only 15 townhouses were sold, more than half, 53% of those, 53% sold at list price or more. Here's a quick summary of months of inventory. It's pretty much a seller's market, right? There's competition, not a lot of choices out there. If you look at detached, 1.6 months of inventory, semis 1 month, towns 1.5. A very different world than the condo market where we're sitting at 3.7. It's more of a balanced market. But the freehold market, pretty much a seller's market. Now, all of you have examples of properties that are sitting there not selling. And it's true. I can tell you, not all sellers market are exactly the same. The last time we had months of inventory this low, offers were coming in at 400, 500,000 over asking. That's not the case today. And there are properties sitting out there. But if the property is desirable and it's priced right and marketed properly, it's selling very quick, many times with competing bids. Thanks for watching. Now check out this awesome multifamily home right now. Welcome to 4027 Bloor Street West in Etobicoke. Before I show you the inside of this home, let me tell you what makes it so unique. It has in all 8 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms. It has 9-foot and 10-foot ceilings. Each room has its own individual climate control. These are all luxury features you would expect from a custom-built home. But what really stands out in this home is that it was designed from the very beginning for 2 families to live separate and independent of each other, both above grade. Let me start by showing you the principal residence. So this is the principal residence. Including the finished basement, you have 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, about 3,000 square feet. So here's the finished basement. It has 10-foot ceilings, an entertainment area, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a private walk-up to the backyard. So this is the private, self-contained, luxurious secondary suite with 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. Have a look.